going to start the sequence sitting cross-legged. So I am sitting on a block, 4-inch height. Okay, you can stick both blocks underneath your sits bones. I'm just sitting on one, kind of like this horizontally. You can also sit on a blanket. Anything that allows your navel to be a little bit higher than your knees and allow your lower back to be nice and straight, not rounded back. So find a position that doesn't bother your knees. You can always sit anyway that feels good to you, as long as the spine is nice and tall, both sits bones are evenly grounded. So you're going to first take a few breaths, roll the shoulders, dial in. I like to close my eyes and just feel what my body is telling me in this moment. Change the circles, okay? The orientation of the circles. I like to use the breath to start to guide me through this next hour and a half of practice. And I trust the breath to tell me when I'm pushing too hard, when I can give a little more, and when I need to modify to stay away from injury. And then you're going to hike up the shoulders on an inhale. On an exhale, drop them down. Inhale, hike up the shoulders. Exhale, let them drop. Okay, one more time. Inhale, hike up the shoulders. Exhale, let them come down. Now you're going to take your rib cage. We're going to move slowly to warm up the whole body. Think about your pelvis as one circle and your rib cage is another circle on top, or two ovals, right? Your pelvis is staying still. You can use your hands on your knees to help, but let the ribs start to circle around. And it doesn't have to be big, as long as there's some kind of movement. You're not really coming off your pelvis. Yes, when you move your rib cage, you're going to feel like one sits bone is dropping into the block a little more than the other. That's all right. You're just trying to separate and isolate different parts of the body, okay? So we're going to go the opposite direction, and you can put your hands on your rib cage to help you. So all I'm doing is moving my ribs to the side, behind, to the side, forward, to the side, behind, to the side, forward. And you're trying to smooth out these 4 points as much as you can. All right. Now, let's do a little bit of cat-cows seated, okay? So as I inhale, I lift the chest, pull the chest forward. As I exhale, I push into my knees just a little bit, and I round back. This movement, I do want you to think about coming from the pelvis. So inhale, I tilt my pelvis forward to help me lift the chest. I can even open up the throat. And then exhale, I round back. One more time, inhale. Tilt the pelvis forward, rock, rock, rock forward. And then exhale, round. Now bring yourselves back to neutral. You're going to change the tossing of your legs. And then from here, we're not going to hold long. So try to move the body along with the breath, okay? You're going to take an inhale, reach this left arm, I'll mirror you, turn the arm bone out, tricep in, reach it up, use this left hand to press the fingertips into the floor. So I'm dropping my sits bone and I'm reaching my arm up and over, lengthen the side body. Okay, inhale, come back to center. Turn the right arm bone out, release the left. Inhale, reach that arm up and over. Sits bone down on the right side, arm reaching up and over. Relax the shoulder. Good. Come back to center again. Turn the arm bone out so the palm's facing behind you. Maybe you can go just a smidge deeper. When I say deeper, I mean more length. More breath into the side body. Good. And then inhale, come back up. Okay, one more time. Turn the arm bone out first. Scoop the arm up. Lift out of that sits bone. Ground the sits bone and then go sideways. Good. Inhale, come back up. Now we're going to go sideways and a little bit diagonal. So you're going to inhale, sideways, and then turn your chest down slightly. So you start to feel a little bit side and then behind, okay, posterior. Don't hold for too long, reach the fingertips, inhale. Don't forget to turn the arm. Start with the side bend, turn the chest down a little bit. So we all did all that rib movement to help with this, okay? Drop that right sits bone, reach the arm across. Inhale, come back up, one more each side. Turn that tricep in, bicep out, reach up and over. This time, can you turn the chest to the ceiling a little bit more? So now it's side and slightly anterior. Big inhale, lift, lift, lift. Good. Come back to center. Don't worry, we have plenty of time to really open. This is just warm up, okay? Turn the bicep out. Do a sideways stretch, and then turn the chest a little more. Reach the arm, reach the arm. Very good. And then inhale, come back to center. Slowly release the arms. Now, you can come out of several different ways. You can just keep the knees crossed, or keep the ankles crossed, roll forward, or if the knees are a little iffy, you're going to uncross them. You can come down sideways. I'd like you to start on all fours, and I want the blocks nearby, so when you're ready to come into down dog, and you want to use blocks, you can, you don't have to, okay? I'm going to move back a little to give myself some room. Start with the knees about the width of the mat, big toes touch. I'm going to pull my sits bones as far back as they can go, even if, it's easy to get my butt all the way to the heels. I don't want them on the heels. I want them hovering above the heels. I want the sits bones to push back, back, back. Take a few breaths here as my arms reach forward and my sits bones reach back. Really actively reach back. I feel my groins opening. I feel my mid-upper back opening. Go ahead and take one more breath. Try not to dip the armpits to the floor, but keep them buoyant. Now, keep the knees as they are. On your inhale, you're going to lift back up. You're going to roll over those knees, okay? You're going to let your hips, let your feet come up. You're going to let your hips drop to the floor. Let the big toes touch again, but you're going to tuck the pelvis a little bit. Stretch the chest forward. For me, I feel a stretch across like the front of my hip flexors, a little bit in the bottom part of my abdominals. And it feels good, okay? And I slowly push back again. Sits bones are doing all the work to move back, move back, move back. Okay, and if your knees don't bend as much, I'll give you a variation. But for those of you who are doing this with me, okay, you reach the toes up, tuck, stretch the chest forward. Let there be a little bit of a stretch of the spine, not overly done, okay? Keep tucking. So you're going to do this 2 more times. Now, if you can't bend your knees as deeply, come into puppy dog. Same concept of pushing the butt back as much as you can, okay? And then once you have a stretch going, you stay there for a little bit. And then when you're ready, you're going to come forward. Same work. Tuck the pelvis, really tuck. You can lift the legs up or keep the legs down. Stretch the chest forward. It's almost like a baby, it's a cobra slash low up. I know it's oxymoron, low up dog, but it's kind of like that, okay? So I'll show one more time. If you're in the child's pose, continue doing what you've been doing. I'm going to do one more. I pull back into puppy dog. And then I pull forward. Let my pelvis drop, but I really do a nice tuck. Tuck the butt into the hamstrings, hug the elbows in, peel the chest forward. This is just to open up the front of the body and the back body, okay? Now, you're going to all come onto all fours when you're done. And if that movement feels good to you, feel free to pause the video or just ignore me. You can rewind, do a couple more. And if you don't need blocks for down dog, you don't have to use them. But if you like your blocks, come onto the blocks, move your way into down dog. The down dog shouldn't feel easy, but it should feel easier than having your hands straight on the floor because your shoulders are slightly lifted. And you can start with whatever feels good to you to warm up in down dog first. And if it's your first down dog of the day, take it slow. Shift your hips a bit side to side. Bend one knee, and then the other. Take your time with it. Try not to sink the shoulders down, okay? Now, Whether your hands are on blocks or not, we're going to do this movement, and you're going to do it with me. Either knees come down or keep the knees up. We'll take it slow, okay? Lift the heels, draw the hips forward, hinge forward so your shoulders are over your wrists, and maybe you need to press the heels back a little bit. You come into plank. Draw the shoulders back, hold plank for 2 deep breaths. Hold the lower belly in, stretch the chest forward, lift those inner thighs, kick the heels back. On your next exhale, pull back, down dog. And if this comes easily to you, you're going to add just a little more, okay? On your next inhale, as you come forward into plank, you can either hold plank for 2 breaths, or if you want to, lift the thighs. Left knee into left elbow. Bring it back. Right knee to right elbow. Bring it back. And then exhale. Push the hips back again. Okay, if you need to readjust, down dog's just a little shorter. You can shorten the distance and then lengthen again. And we're going to do one last round just like that. Skip the fancier stuff if all you want to do is just move from down dog to plank to warm up. Okay, so I'm in my last plank for now. I hold my abdominals in. This time I bring my left knee over to the right armpit. Bring it back. Right knee to the left armpit. Bring it back. And if you want to do a little more before we come back out, you can, but don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to keep working abdominals today. And then slowly push the hips back again. This time walk your feet forward towards your hands. And let's do a little bit of a bend and re-extend. Feel free to have your feet go wider apart if it's too intense for your hamstrings at this point and your calves. And if you are okay having the feet hip width and your lower back is not bothering you, keep it at hips width, okay? And also for those of you who are tighter, always take the blocks a little higher. So I'm bending into my knees a little bit, hugging my shin bones in. Lift, 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 lift the sits bones. Keep the knees wide. Stretch the chest forward. Let's do it one more time. Hello, hamstrings. Let's bend the knees a little deeper this time. Let the butt drop down so the butt feels heavy. Don't let your knees shoot forward, okay? Hug your shin bones in. Press the big toe balls down, inner heels down. Slow, slow, slow. Lift, lift, lift. Lift the butt as much as you can. Keep lifting. And then when you feel a good stretch in those hamstrings, stretch your chest forward in between the blocks just a little more. And if you don't need blocks and your hands can come flat to the floor, do that, okay? But if your back is rounded or you feel like you need a little more height for support, take the blocks. Good. Now, bend the knees a little bit. Sit into your sits bones or sit into your glutes. Come forward with a flat back. Hold your abdominals in. Don't lock the knees. As you exhale, slowly release the arms. Okay, let's do a little bit of a neck and shoulder stretch. I'll come down so you can see me better, but I'll start this way. Have your feet hip width, not too wide, okay, so they're solidly underneath you. You're going to draw your shoulders back, interlace the fingers, and try to pull the arms back. You are not going to shorten the back body and tug like this, okay? Your body stays tall, your spine is lifted. You're just drawing the shoulder blades down your back and then pull your hands a little bit away from your back. And you don't need to do a lot, okay? From here, you're going to let the head fall back gently so you feel the front of the throat, and you close your mouth so you get a little bit of a stretch. Good. Now, I'm going to let my left ear move toward my left shoulder so my right side neck gets a little bit of a stretch. Pause there, but keep pulling the arms back a little bit, okay? Then I bring my head down so the back of the neck is getting a bit of a stretch. And then I bring my right ear to my right shoulder and let the left side of the neck get a stretch. Good. Now, before we go farther, can we interlace the fingers the opposite way? Continue to pull those arms back. Now, the next step, but before I let my head come all the way back, can I do halfway between my right ear to my right shoulder and my head all the way back? So I go back halfway and see if that's a slight different spot in the neck that you're stretching. So I'm not fully looking up at the ceiling yet. I'm not fully sideways, okay? And if you were to see me, this can be a little bit clearer, okay? This is me totally sideways. This is me further back. I'm sort of in between. So it's hitting a slightly different spot in my neck. Good. And then I bring my head back, open the front of the throat again. Good. And before you take your left ear to your left shoulder, can you go halfway? So my left ear is not quite on my shoulder yet. It's kind of in between the shoulder and the back. I know it's a little weird to explain, but you get it. You'll feel a different spot of the neck being stretched, okay? And pause there for a little more. And then bring your left ear to your left shoulder and get the whole side neck stretch on the right side. Good. And you're still standing. You're not coming down to your knees. I'm just doing this so you can see me better in the frame, okay? Bring your head back to center. Gently come back. Release, okay? Let's do a little bit more flow, and then we'll hit the poses a little more deeply. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, just follow the breath, do the best you can, okay? Exhale, dive forward. Take an inhale, half lift. As you exhale, step the right leg back into lunge. Take the blocks with you. In this lunge, hug your left inner thigh to center, right inner thigh to center. And just think about the legs squeezing to center. Very small movements. Squeezing to center. Squeezing to center. Can you do this so steady? The back leg is working so hard, you don't really need to put the hands on the blocks because you're really standing on your legs, okay? Take an inhale, stretch the chest forward. Press the heel back on the right side, okay? Exhale, step the left leg back. You can skip this, go straight into downward dog, or come into a flow. Inhale, exhale, you can bring your knees down, and then chaturanga to the floor, or just come straight down to the floor, reach the feet back, stretch the chest forward. You can do Sphinx or Low Cobra. Low Cobra is where I am right now. I'll show you Sphinx on the next side. Gently pull yourselves back, down dog. And if you were in down dog this whole time and you're ready to come out a little bit, do so. If you're feeling pretty strong, stay in down dog, okay? So now you're going to take that left leg, the leg that you just worked, roll the thigh bone in, roll the thigh bone out. Small, don't move the hips. Just think about moving the thigh bone in the hip socket. Don't fall into that right leg. Good. And then when the leg is neutral, pull the knee into the chest, step the left leg forward, do halfway. Take as much time as you need to. Step half and then grab a foot, or if you can go all the way forward, take it all the way forward, okay? And then from there, use the blocks to help. Take the right leg to meet the left. Go ahead and take a forward fold. Bend the knees, drop the butt. Press the heels down, hug the shin bones into center, resist slightly at the knees. And then on your next exhale, lift the butt slowly, slowly, slowly to realign the legs. And then take an inhale, stretch your chest forward again, send your pubis bone back. Take the blocks back by the right ankle, shoot the left leg back, come into a lunge, okay? Again, we're slowly warming up. We're trying to get the body to open, to ease into opening. Flexibility comes with time and precision. So same thing, can my right inner thigh and my left inner thigh hug into center? The movement is so small, you can't really see me doing it. If I'm facing you, what you'll end up seeing is a little bit of knees winging out a little, hugging into center. Just a little bit, hugging into center. Nothing dramatic. You're definitely not doing it from your butt. You're doing it from the inner thighs, okay? Take one more full breath here. Again, the inner thighs are hugging so steadily, I really don't need blocks to hold me here. Stretch the chest forward, press the left heel back a little, okay? This time we're going to do Sphinx, if you're going to follow me, but do your own thing. Skip the flow if you want to. Just go into down dog or child's pose and chaturanga down. I slide my arms forward. This is the traditional Sphinx pose. If you looked at the other videos, I've been showing you a different way to do Sphinx. Go for that, if that's the one you like, okay? Take one more breath, tuck the butt. Stretch the chest forward. And as you exhale, slowly curl the toes under. Use the abdominals. Pull back up into down dog. Push the hips back as much as you can. Now, without falling into the left leg, inhale, take the right leg up. Roll the thigh bone in, roll the thigh bone out. Small movements of the thigh bone in the hip socket, nothing big, okay? We'll move bigger and bigger as we go. Now, step that right leg forward. Come into a lunge. Pause here a little bit. Find your center again. Use the blocks that help you, especially if you need a little bit more for stability. And if you don't, you just stand on that right leg, pull the left leg near, let the upper body hang. One more time. Let the sits bones drop, let the butt get heavy, hug your shin bones in, and then lift, 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 lengthen the hamstrings, hug the shins in, stretch the chest forward, and then as you inhale, come all the way up, and exhale, hands in front of the heart, and slowly release the arms down. Very good, take a breath here. So you should feel a little warmer, if not quite warm already. And we're going to move into the sequence, and we're going to build up slowly. Always do what feels good to you, do what feels necessary, do what feels challenging, and always pull back when you need to. From here, Utkatasana chair pose. Hug your shin bones into center. Don't let your toes turn out. Hinge at the hip crease. Send your sits bones back, back, back. Hold your lower ribs in. The knees might want to knock in. Widen the knees slightly. Don't let your toes turn out. Pull your belly away from your thighs, okay? If this is a lot, just bring the hands in front of your heart. Draw the shoulder blades down. And really think about not dumping your lower back. If you'll know, if you put your hand here, if you're arching, then you're really using your lower back muscles. Can you hold your lower belly in so it's a nice flat sheet down this way? And you really then start to feel your butt way more than your lower back, okay? If it feels okay to you, you bring your arms forward. You take a full inhale. You can bring your arms a little higher towards your hairline if your lower ribs are not pushing out. Now, dive forward. Take a big inhale. Stretch your chest forward. And again, you're going to slide that right leg back into lunge one more time. Okay? And as you're in this lunge, can you hug this left shin bone in? Keep hugging it in. Keep pressing the right shin back, or right heel back rather. Take the blocks, okay? And from here, just slowly lift the hips, drag the right heel back, and then push the right heel forward. And then again, let the left butt move back as the right heel presses back. We're going to do this a couple of times. And using the lever of the back leg to get into the front leg a little more. Inhale. As you exhale, press back, back, back. One more time. Inhale. As you exhale, press the right heel back, 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 so you feel the left hamstrings really turn on, okay? Now keep pressing the right heel back. Move your left quadricep into your left knee. Really move the quad into the left knee so you're sitting into an even bigger lunge than you did before. And slowly from here, you're going to take that outside block, walk it onto the inside, walk the left leg out a little more. If you need a blanket, grab a blanket to come under your right knee. If not, as you press the right heel back, slowly, slowly, responsibly lower the right knee to the floor. From here, I'm going to come into lizard pose. So I'm trying to get into this left groin. I want to start with the blocks at the 9-inch height. I want to be able to put both my forearms down. Now, you might be able, like if I were to go to the 6-inch height, my left hip is a little more open. My outside forearm can come down. My inside forearm feels like it's just barely hovering off the block. In that case, I need to come up higher. You don't want your spine to kind of twist as a result, okay? So from the front, I'm in lizard pose, okay? I look like this foot's not winging out. I'm hugging. Ooh, I need to show you within the frame, okay? So this foot is hugging in, and I'm slowly, slowly getting my forearms to come down onto the floor, or onto the blocks rather, okay? And you're not letting the foot roll to the outer edge. Your right knee is not directly under the hip because you're not going to get much. You got to slide that knee back a little bit. So you might even feel a stretch in front of that right quadricep. Now, the next pose might feel a teeny bit tricky, but it's actually wonderful. It's a modified pigeon. Here, I'm getting the inner groin on my left side.
I'm gonna have you hit the outer butt now. So I'm gonna pull myself back up. And I forgot to mention, if coming down on your elbows is too intense, then what you need to do is put your hands straight down on the blocks or on the floor, whichever variation, as long as you're getting a groin stretch and maybe a little bit of a butt stretch without your back rounding too much, okay? Now, from here, you can start with the blocks at 9-inch height or take the blocks a little lower. But let's say I'm in the same exact position as I did earlier. I'm gonna walk my left foot over to the right. And then I'm going to let the leg fall out a little bit. And I'm going to press the big toe ball inner heel toward the floor. So again, this camera angle is really weird. I'm trying to make sure you can see me, okay? So my front foot is going across. I am pressing this heel down very, very actively. I'm pushing the big toe ball into the floor. It's only when I do that that this shin bone and this knee is not being impinged. So as I press the heel to the floor, you should be able to feel this whole outer line on your left butt, and it should feel like a pigeon pose. My back knee is still back. I drop into that left hip a little bit more. I keep pushing the inner heel away. My inner heel is trying to reach the mat, which creates a deeper stretch for the left hip, okay? You're gonna stay here for one more deep breath. Those of you who are more open, feel free to let your chest drape over. Just keep contacting the inner heel. Even though it doesn't touch the mat, you keep pushing the inner heel toward the floor. From here, you slowly pull yourself back, okay? You're gonna open up again, either come into downward dog, or you take another flow. I'm gonna show you the other Sphinx this time, okay? Pull your chest forward. I slide my elbows and stack them. I tuck my butt, reach the toes back, stretch the chest forward. For some reason, this Sphinx gets more into my mid back, and it's nice and it's really, really opening, okay? And it's totally up to you which one you want to do. And then slowly pull yourself back, downward dog. We're almost there, okay? On your next inhale, on this side, you still got the other side to go. Take an inhale, take the left leg up again. So last time we did these small rolling in, rolling out. Can you now roll the hip in deeper? Open the hip out a little more. I'm still not dumping into the right side. Roll the thigh bone in, roll the thigh bone out, but the hip is going with you this time, okay? And from here, when I come back to neutral, I'm gonna step that leg forward one more time, so I'm in lunge one more time. I'm gonna take the right hand block at the 4-inch height, really close to this foot. Take the hand to hug your shin bone in. Again, we're concentrating on opening up this outer hip. Take this right leg, roll the thigh bone in. Remember what we did the first time. Hug the inner thighs towards center. Hug the shin in. Don't let this knee wing out. Press into the block to lift the chest. Then twist, twist, twist from the spine. Only if you want to. If by hugging the shin bone in, if you're anywhere tight like me, you're already feeling this outer butt, you don't got to go any farther. Just hang out here, okay? Turn the chest open. For those of you who are more open, feel free to put your hand on the floor. Feel free to twist a little deeper. Take your top arm up. Work that back leg. Go ahead and take one more deep breath. Let the twist come from the pelvis first, from the groin, okay? On your next exhale, when you're ready to release, again, take the blocks to help you if necessary. Shorten your stance a little. Stand on that left leg. Put the right leg next to it. We're trying to develop strength and stability to stand on one leg, okay? Go ahead and take a bend and re-extend. And then slowly, slowly lift, lift, lift the hips, okay? On your next inhale, bend the knees a little if you need to, hinge from the hips. Reach the arms all the way up. And then exhale, slowly release. Check your feet again. Take a breath in between if you need to. Heels are slightly turned out, not the toes, okay? Hug your shins in. Pull your sits bones back. Lower the butt. Hold your lower belly in. Hold your lower ribs in. Your lower back is nice and flat, so your glutes are getting the work. Either hands in front of the heart, second chair pose. Draw the shoulders back. Press the palms together and keep the forearms in a straight line, or take your arms in front of you. breathe. So it's not just your quadriceps that are doing the work. You should feel some stuff in your glutes too. The more you hold the lower belly in and flatten the low back, the more your glutes are going to kick in. Okay, let's do one more deep breath, everybody. Relax the shoulders. On your exhale, dive forward. Lengthen, lengthen. Really lengthen those hamstrings. Okay, now same exact thing. Take an inhale, half lift. Okay, on your exhale, slide the blocks back, and you're going to take the left leg back this time. And again, you're going to press through that heel, really press through that heel. Get the big toe ball inner heel down. Lift the hips now. Square off the hips, which means this left hip wants to go forward a little, right hip wants to go back a little. Use this back leg as a lever. Press the heel back to drag the right hip back a little more. Feel like the right big toe is reaching forward, reaching forward. Use the back leg. Push off the ball of the foot so you're leaning forward a little bit. Press the heel back again to drag the right hip back. So you should feel quite a bit of upper hamstring and butt. One more time, okay? Press off. Use the back leg to help drive this movement. Square off the hips a little bit more. Hug the inner thighs to center. Now, keep pressing this left heel back. Move your right quadriceps slowly, slowly, slowly forward. Quad is moving into the knee. Quad's moving back to get length all throughout the groins. Keep pressing this left heel back as you slowly, slowly lower the knee to the floor. So you're not just plopping the knee down, okay? Again, grab a blanket if you like. And from here, so maybe this angle is a little bit clearer, I'm gonna bring the blocks on the inside, walk my right foot out, not too much, just a little bit. And it's almost like my thigh bone is trying to turn out, my torso and hip bone's coming on the inside of it, and then I put my forearms on the blocks to do a lizard pose to stretch out my right groin. And if this is too low for you, you can play with so many different combinations. Hands on the floor. If that's still too low, hands a little higher, right? There's so many different ways to stack the blocks. And the other way, if you feel like the 9-inch blocks are too high for you, you take it down to the 6-inch. As long as you make sure that this foot is not rolling out to the outer edge, that this foot is actively pressing down, big toe ball, inner heel, okay? You're gonna stay here for about 2 to 3 more breaths. Think about this left knee not directly under the hip, but several inches behind it. Stretch the chest forward. Let gravity help you, not work against you. And then slowly on your next inhale, okay, you're going to press your hands into the blocks one more time. I'm going to show you that modified pigeon pose one more time. I'm going to take the blocks out and I'm going to walk this front foot over and across toward the left hand block, okay? If you think about it in terms of angles, this leg is in a 90-degree angle. My inner heel, even though it's not touching the mat, even though I'm sort of on the outside edge of my right foot, my inner heel is actively reaching toward the mat. It's this act of the heel pushing into the mat that lifts the outer kneecap, that contains the knee. So you still have good alignment between the shin bone and the thigh. And when you drop that right hip, that's when you're going to start to feel stretch in that right glute a lot, okay? And the reason I do this is in regular pigeon, especially if you're tight, your foot's kind of turned this way. Outer ankle is rolled and you're putting all your weight on it. And that's actually really bad for the knee to try to get into the hip. So this is my modification since I have very tight hips and I don't externally rotate enough. Keep pushing the heel. For those of you who are more open than I am, that your choice is to take the blocks down, slide the back knee back some more, keep pushing that inner heel down, get your chest to go a little bit on top of the leg. Don't force it though, okay? One more deep breath. Keep feeling like the right hip is heavy. And very, very slowly, okay, no rush at all, pull yourselves back up, slide that right knee back. There's no real graceful way of getting out of this. Just get out of it without hurting yourselves, okay? Either come into down dog, or if you're flowing with me, I'm gonna do like a baby up dog or whatever you wanna call a low up dog. Inhale, exhale, come down. So this one, I keep my shins on the floor, keep my knees on the floor. Draw the shoulders to lift you up, okay? And I keep my shins on the floor. I tuck and I stretch the chest forward. So my pubis is not on the floor and my feet are not pressed and my thighs are not lifted off. So it's a little easier, but I keep tucking. Keep stretching the chest forward as long as it doesn't bother you. If you love up dog, just go right into up dog. Good. And then exhale. Slowly pull yourselves back. Press into the inner parts of the hands. Lift the armpits. The inner armpits are nice and secure to keep the integrity of the shoulder joints, okay? Nice deep down dog. Now find weight into your midline. Don't dump into the left side. Pick up that right leg. Roll the right thigh bone in. Open the hip and roll the right thigh bone out. Close the hip, roll the thigh bone in. Open the hip. Just do a couple more of these. And make sure that you're not dumping into that left arm either. You're just having some fun with the hip mobility. Then come back to neutral. Pull that right knee forward. Come into your lunge again, okay? This time, for those of you who have it, hand on the floor. Don't overdo, okay? Most of you will do well with a 4-inch height block or a 6-inch height. Roll the back thigh bone in to initiate this twist from the hip. Contain this right shin bone, especially if that outer butt is tight. Your foot's gonna wanna roll out. Hug the shin. If you're just thigh bone rolling in and hugging to center, you're already gonna feel that right outer butt. If you wanna go deeper, you stretch your chest. Don't turn from just the head, okay? Turn the ribs toward the right. Breathe. You can take the top arm up. For me, that's a little bit of a stretch because my hip is so tight. I just hang out and I enjoy it. I work the crap out of my back leg to hold me. I relax the jaw. And most of all, I remind myself that it's just yoga. Good. And slowly unravel. Take the blocks at whichever height that works for you. Put a little bit of weight on them. Shorten your stance a little. Put all the weight on this inner line of the right leg. Pick up the left. Come into forward fold. Okay. So here's a bonus. You can take your blocks to the 6-inch height or the 9-inch height, whichever feels better for you. Okay. This is the bend and re-extend I want you to do this time. You're going to bend the knees. Drop the butt. This part you already know. We're bending pretty deeply. Press the heels down. And then you're going to lift the butt, okay? Once you re-extend the legs, I want you to come off the heels. So lift your heels as high as you can, lift the butt even higher. And then slowly, keep the butt lifted. Try to slowly release the heels down. But think about your sits bones are being hooked and they're not coming down at all. Even though they are, you imagine they're not coming down. Let the heels stretch down and back, stretch down and back, stretch down and back. Don't push your knees back, yeah? Let's do it one more time. If this feels too low, take your blocks a little higher, okay? Drop the butt again. Bend the knees, let your belly hang onto your thighs. Press the heels down, widen the knees slightly. Lift the butt away from the heels. Once you feel like, whoa, my hamstrings are there already, lift off the heels so you're on the balls of your feet. Imagine your butt is as high as it can get. It's hooked onto something. There's Velcro on your sits bones and it's Velcroed onto the wall or some imaginary wall. Now stretch your heels down and back, down and back. Imagine your heels are moving back and down at the same time and your butt stays high. Breathe, everybody. Make sure your lower back is okay. If your lower back's not okay, you don't do this, okay? Once your heels come down, press them down to the floor a little more. Stretch your chest forward, okay? And you guessed it, one last chair pose to finish. Now, I sit back down one more time. Hold the belly in. This time I come up in chair's pose. Reach the arms forward, hold the belly in. Lower back is flat. Hug the shin bones in. And from there, press the heels down. Slowly stand back up. Draw the shoulders back. And take a breath. Good job, everybody. Okay. Next up, put your hands onto your hips. We're going to step back and we'll start at this space, okay? My suggestion is to take the blocks forward. So you got one on each side. They're a little bit more accessible. And I'm going to start with wide-legged forward fold. And take a breath. just in this wide-legged forefold. Your heels are slightly turned out. Your wrists are kind of lined up with your ankles. Those of you who are more open, feel free to go a little bit deeper, okay? I'm just going to take a couple of breaths into my chest. Widen the collarbones. Lift the sternum. From here, press the big toe balls down, inner heels down, okay? Don't lock the knees. Hinge from the hip crease. Lift and widen the sits bones. Dive forward slowly, slowly. Now, if you're pretty open, you're not going to need blocks underneath your hands, but just have them nearby because you'll need them for some other things, okay? You can put the hands onto the floor. But if your back is looking much more like this because your inner thighs are so tight, you take your blocks, whichever height that works for you. As long as you're getting an inner thigh stretch and keeping the spine straight, that's what the blocks are for, okay? And when I first started doing wide-legged forward fold, my back was nowhere near straight. I remember feeling like such a shrimp because I was so curled up. And this was, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, okay? Take your time. From here, you're gonna go a little bit deeper if you can. You're gonna pull these quadriceps up, okay? Pull the kneecaps up. If your hands are on the blocks, they're gonna stay. If your hands are on the floor, try to walk your hands in line with your feet, hug your elbows in, stretch your chest toward the floor. So don't pop your neck up so much. Relax the back of the neck, but keep aiming the chest toward the floor, okay? Take 2 more deep breaths, hug the elbows in, widen the sits bones, inwardly rotate those upper thigh bones, keep the back of the neck long, and you'll feel gravity is kind of on your side, that your body's going to come down naturally a little more toward the floor when your inner thighs and hamstrings are starting to open more. From here, you're going to walk your hands out a little bit, okay? You're going to take one of your blocks, move it closer to your left foot. I'm going to mirror you. I'm going to see how this goes. Walk your hands over to the left foot. And you're still stretching, and you can either slide your hands forward a little more or put it on a block and go forward a little more. Your legs aren't changing. You're still opening up this side body. Now, if the left knee is a little pissed off, turn your toes out just a little bit. It literally just has to do with tightness and alignment. But if you don't have that issue, keep your toes turned forward. Lengthen the block away, and push that right sits bone back a little bit so you got the whole side body open. Nice, everyone. You're going to slide that block back now, okay? And then you're going to turn the left toes to face forward. Right toes are already slightly turned in, but turn it in a little bit more, okay? Now, if you're tighter, as I always say, you can always stack your 2 blocks and put them on the outside. We're going into triangle pose. If you're okay, you're going to put that right hand block on the outside of that left block, block on the left outer shin. I'm already messing up with this mirroring, okay? And it's so different when you don't have bodies in the room in front of you. Put the big toe ball down, inner heel down. Hug that shin bone in. Your hand is on the block. Pull that left hip back. Pull the thigh bone up. Tuck the butt under. And press your hand into the block to get that shoulder blade away from the center line of the spine. You're not pressing it down for support, really. You're just doing this to activate. Get this inner thigh turned on. Keep drawing this left butt back away from you, okay? If that feels good, you take your top arm, reach it up toward the ceiling, turn the bicep out, just like we did in the very beginning when we did those side bends. Reach the arm up and over. So you're going opposite directions. My arm is reaching to my left. My left butt is tucking under and moving back to the right. Think on that for a minute, okay? My right arm is reaching to the left. My left leg is pulling back toward the right. Breathe, don't jam the knee. From here, you're gonna take that top arm down. You're gonna slowly now do the opposite. Move the inner quad, inner thigh toward that left inner knee. So you're sitting into extend the side angle. And really don't dig into this hip too much. Now, several options. You can either take the block on the inside of the foot, use a 9-inch height or the 6-inch height. Push your arm gently against the knee to open it. So get the groin a little more, but your foot's not rolling out. You're pressing onto the inner part of the foot. Or if those of you who are more open, fingertips on the floor. I wouldn't flatten the hand just because it's too much. It can lead to too much compression. I usually go with the 6-inch hype or whatever works for you. If this is too low for you, too much in that hip, come back out of it, move the quad in, put your forearm down, okay? Whatever works better for you, so there's work in this hip and not like you're jamming into it. So extend the side angle, tuck the butt under. One last work, same thing as the arm as you did in triangle pose. Turn the chest open and stay for 3 more breaths, okay? Again, your left hip is working, the groin is being stretched. You are not pushing so much into it that you're cutting off circulation. Take 1 more deep breath. Good. Then take the top arm, put it back onto your hip. Press firmly into that front leg. I want you to straighten the leg first. So you're slowly coming back down, coming out of this hip. Levelize the pelvis now. Lower the right hip, lift the left, okay? From here, I'll move this out of your way so you can see, okay? From here, I'm gonna move the quadricep into the knee. We're just gonna do a brief warrior two. Move the quadricep into the knee, hold the lower belly in, lower that left hip, lift up the right hip, take your arms out. This time, so we've done, turning the triceps in, biceps out. Let's do a little bit of just spinning the arms inside the shoulders. Feel like the 2 shoulder blades are moving away from each other, okay? And as you're staying in warrior two, as you're continuing to do this, you're gonna pull your fingers back towards your hand. So you're pushing the heel of your palm away from you. It's kind of like stop in the name of love, but like really stop in both directions, okay? Lengthen that inner groin, inner quad. Release that right hip a little bit more. You're almost there. And now from your next inhale, press into that front heel, slowly pull yourselves back up. Can you feel that as you press your hands away, you felt some tingling up and down the arm, stretching the arms too. Now, one more triangle pose. From here, ignite your stance, all the heat in the body, okay? Pull that thigh bone up on the left side, draw the hip back, tuck, grab that block of yours, okay? And you can put the block on the outside of the shin one more time. You can just do the triangle pose here and call it a day. And just stop here, take your arm up, take 5 to 6 deep breaths, and then come back into down dog or into wide-legged forward fold, anything that feels good, or just work on your triangle pose. Or if you feel good and you want to take Ardha Chandrasana half moon with me, you bend that front knee, you slide that block so it's lined up on the outside of the left pinky toe, about 10 to 12 inches in front. And I'm finding that inner leg, and do the same work of tucking the butt, same thing as you would do in triangle pose. Take this top leg, reach it back in the opposite direction. And then if that still feels good, take the top arm, pull the quadriceps up. You know that you are so firmly on your inner thigh of the standing leg when you're not really putting that much weight on the block at all. And your lower back is not crunched. Keep dragging that left butt back behind you, okay? Good. And I'm gonna say this as gracefully as you can. Bend that top leg, take the leg back, slide the block back, transition through triangle pose, turn that front foot in, slide forward. So, you are in wide-legged forward fold one more time, okay? Give the hips a little bit of a shake. Take a breath or two here. Make sure that nothing feels too tight, nothing's pissed off, okay? Realign your feet if you need to. And now take a second forward fold, wide-legged. Have your blocks ready. So if your hands were on the blocks the first time, keep them there for the second time. And those of you who are tighter, all I want you to do is a little bit of bend and re-extend. You bend your knees, and then you lift the butt to try to straighten your legs. Just that alone is going to give you a ton of inner thigh work to help you get stronger and more open. Those of you who are more open already, you take your hands down. This time, trust the strength of your legs. Reach back and grab the outer ankles or behind the heels. Let the head hang one more time and breathe. Okay, you can also choose to reach your arms up behind you. Interlace the fingers, keep stretching the chest toward the floor to keep the spine long, widen the sits bones, inwardly rotate those thighs, and pull your kneecaps up. Wide-legged floor fold is very, very therapeutic. It's also you standing on those inner legs, which really directly supports the spine and it releases a lot of stuff. Okay. Now, whenever you are ready to come out of this, we have to go to the side first. So put your hands on the floor. Take one of those blocks. And again, if this right knee feels a little tweaky, you turn your toes out slightly. You don't have to if the knee doesn't feel weird. You're going to go sideways, and rather than I'm going completely toward the foot, I'm actually kind of away from the foot, and I'm taking a side stretch and opening up the left side of my body now. My legs are working as strong as ever. I'm pushing my hips back some more, and I breathe into this. Think about not jamming either knee, pulling the kneecaps up, okay? Don't dump into any of the shoulder parts. And then on your next inhale, slide that block closer towards you. You're going to take the right toes, turn them to the right. Left toes are already slightly forward. Make them a teeny bit more forward, okay? You put this block on the outside of that shin bone on the right side. You can start with the knee a little bit bent. Push the big toe ball down, inner heel down. Again, if this is too tight for you or your inner thigh is too much, stack the block. I'm assuming those of you who are watching these videos have been with me for so long, you know this. If you don't know this after all these years of me saying it to you, I don't know what to tell you at this point, okay? But what I always say is just don't hurt yourself, okay? Press the big toe ball down, inner heel down, tuck the butt under, move the butt away from you, and keep that tucked under. Draw the lower belly in, keep moving that inner thigh into the hip. Reach the left arm toward the ceiling, spin that tricep in, reach the arm up and over, up and over. So again, I'm thinking about my left arm moving to the left, my right butt moving to the right, to the left, okay? So opposite directions, left arm moving toward the right, right butt moving to the left. I got that totally screwed up last time. Just think about opposite directions. You know what I mean. Hold the lower belly in. Don't put all your weight on that block, much more on your inner thighs. And then slowly draw the arm back. You're going to move now in the opposite direction. Move that inner thigh, inner quadricep into that inner knee. Your choice. Forearm down. Lift yourself out of that hip. So your hips don't have to be that low if it's too tight for you, okay? Or fingertips on the floor, or take a block, 6-inch height, 9-inch height. Anything that feels good to you, go ahead and do it. Keep tucking the butt under. For consistency's sake, for my body, I'm going to go to 6, okay? Keep tucking the butt under, move the butt back, press the arm against the knee a little bit, press the inner part of the hand down, turn the ribs to the ceiling one more time. Reach that arm up and over, bicep turned out, tricep turned in, elongate the side body, press the outer heel down. Take 3 deep breaths with me. Let that right hip work. Let it get stronger without dumping all the crap into it, without compressing it, okay? And then coming out is going to be difficult. So grab blocks if you need to. Don't use hips, don't use joints to do it. Use your muscles. From here, you're going to push into that front foot. It always helps if you come out of the pose a little. You don't straighten the knee completely, but press into the heel and then slowly bring yourself up. I know that many of you are strong enough to come from the bent position straight into warrior two, but oftentimes we do it from clenching in the pelvis, in the butt to move into that position. So I'd rather you not do it. Now, let's reclaim warrior two. Lower the left hip, outwardly spiral the right thigh, move your right quad deeply, deeply into the right inner knee. Lower the left hip again, okay? Sit as low as you can feel, as you feel good. Take your arms out again. So this back arm, this left arm has to work a little harder to keep my body in balance. Again, spin the arms, okay? So I'm thinking about turning the arms out, turning the arms in, turning the arms out, turning the arms in. And now last time we did this where we push the heels of the palms out. This time, turn the palms down. You're still pushing the heels, but it's the back of the palm. Push them away from you. Feel like the shoulder blades are moving away, away, away from center. Work a little bit harder into that front leg, into the leg that you're sitting into in Warrior Two. Don't squeeze the butt though. Take one more deep breath, everybody. Good. Push into that front heel. Release the arms. Slowly, slowly straighten. Okay? We're going to do one last triangle pose on this side. This time we're coming from up to down. So now, can I lower this hip that I asked you not to lower in the last pose and pull the opposite hip up? Can I keep tucking this butt, moving it behind me, behind me? Can I grab that block again, put it on the outside of the shin, keep tucking? Some of you are going to stay in this triangle pose and make a V pose. Some of you will use this as a transition pose, okay? If you're doing it as a transition pose, bend the front knee. Take that block about, I want to say 10 to 12 inches in front of the pinky toe, depending on the length of your body. Find the big toe ball inner heel. Find this inner leg. Stand on the inner leg. And don't worry about how high this leg goes. Reach it back. Keep tucking the butt of the standing leg so you're unmistakably on that inner leg. When you feel secure on the inner leg, that top leg's going to feel pretty effortless. But again, you're reaching it back, reaching it back. Maybe your top arm comes up. Breathe, okay? I don't dare take my right hand off the block because I don't want to face plant in the middle of a video. But my inner leg is so active right now, I feel as if I could, okay? And I've done this, in my own practice when I feel that engaged. It really feels like I don't need to put much weight on the hand at all. Now, when you're ready, slowly release the top hand, take the back leg back. One last time, we're going to shift our weight forward in between the legs. We're going to come back into one more wide-legged forward fold. I'm going to make this last one your choice. So I'll turn this way so you can see me. And here are your choices. You can either take your blocks 9-inch height or 4-inch, slide them as far forward as you can, pull your butt as far back as you can to turn it into like a wide-legged forward fold down dog to open up all this, and just stay and take a few deep breaths and enjoy it, okay? For those of you who are a little nutty and want to go a little deeper, you're going to take your hands down. This is only for like the super open people who can get even more into the inner thighs. You're going to go the opposite direction. You're going to fold your chest down toward the floor, pull the kneecaps up, roll those thigh bones in and lift and widen the sits bones. And then you're going to take your hands and try to go in the opposite direction of the last variation we just did. Do this without rounding the back. Don't curl the neck. Just keep thinking about chest reaching down, chest trying to plaster itself in between the legs, okay? Wherever you are, take 2 deep breaths. You can also bend the elbows, push down on the floor to pull your chest in between the legs a little more. And it's going to start to look a little circusy if you go any deeper, but totally up to you. And when you are done, come out slowly, don't hurt yourselves, okay? We're going to take one more flow, and your choice if you want to do up dog, cobra, sphinx, anything that feels good to you. You've earned it, okay? Go right into child's pose if that's how you feel. And then eventually you'll come back into down dog and spend a good 3 deep breaths in down dog, going as deep as you can. Good. Take one more breath, everybody, wherever you are. Down dog at child's pose, doesn't matter. Okay? And then on your next exhale, bring your knees down onto the floor, and you get a puppy dog. Pull your sits bones back. Reach your arms forward. Press into the hands to keep the chest a little more lifted. And the puppy dog, if it feels good, okay, you're going to actually, instead of going side to side, you're going to keep this right arm reaching forward. You're going to thread the left arm under. So it's almost like you're crossing the arm. If this feels awkward, I like it because I get more into my shoulder blade. But for some of you, this might feel kind of awkward. If that's the case, you just go back to the sideways one we've been doing. Think about lengthening the arm out, pulling the butt back. If you're doing this other version with me, you're kind of crossed at the forearms or the wrists. You can cross out a little more, so like the arms are not in their way, each other's way. And for me, I just get a little more stretch under the shoulder blade. Right now, I'm actually kind of crossed more at the elbows, okay? And then come back to center. Like I said, it might not be your jam. You do what feels good for you. Pull the butt back, reclaim your puppy dog, get that nice stretch into the lower back, mid upper back. Don't dip the ribs. So your options are either going sideways again. Your right arm is moving forward diagonally, right butt's moving back. If you want to get a little more under that shoulder blade, take that right arm, slide it across and under, and pull the butt back. And maybe you turn the chest a little more. For me, it's always about hunting out for stuff, feeling where my body is at, okay? And you don't rush. You don't force something that's not quite there. It'll slowly come. All right, come back to center. I'm gonna come forward into one more standing forward fold. Walk your feet up. Okay, after all that good work we've done, you're gonna do one more bend and re-extend. Bend the knees a little deeper, hug the shin bones in, widen the sits bones. Lift, 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 lift as much as you can. See how you feel now versus when you first started this practice. Can you press the heels down? Lift, lift, lift. Reach the arms all the way up and bring the hands in front of the heart. Take a breath. We're in the home stretch. We're going to do a little more balancing, okay? Get a little deeper into the outer lines of our hips, and then we'll come down to the floor for some abdominal work and some twisting. So as you're here, step your feet a little closer toward each other. Ideally, big toes touch, heels a little wider apart. So I'm going to give you a choice as to what you rather do. You can either do a figure four stretch, kind of like in chair pose, but with one leg crossed over, or you can do a eagle pose, okay? So I'll show both. Figure four is I simply take this left leg, cross it over the right, and I sit a little bit lower, like I'm doing chair pose. And if you're next to the wall, you can always use the wall for balance to get yourself into it. Again, push the inner heel away. You can bring the hands in front of the heart. So this again gets into the outer hip. And the lower you sit, the more you're going to be able to balance and the more you're going to get the stretch into the hip. And you can just stay there. Okay, let's stay for 3 deep breaths there. If you're doing eagle pose, cross the left knee over on top of the right, double cross at the ankle if you have it, and then squeeze the knees to center. Swing that left arm underneath the right. Press the palms together, draw the shoulders down. So whichever variation you're in, you're gonna stay for full 5 or about 5 full deep breaths, okay? I'll just stay just a little bit longer in case you weren't sure which way you're gonna go. Feel free to pause the video if you need to. But once you've been in here for a bit, 5 breaths or so, you let go, stand back up, okay? You take this left leg, you step it back, and we're in pyramid pose again. Now, normally when we do pyramid pose, I have you turn your back heel up to square off the hips. Most of us are kind of tight that bringing the heel down is a little bit difficult to do revolving. Here, I want to do a little bit more of a balance work. So your back heel is down. You turn your pelvis to face forward. Squeeze the inner thighs to center. Pull the right butt back, right butt back. Keep thinking about hugging the inner thighs to center, pulling the right hip back. Now, if this is already a lot of work, you don't have to do anything else. Just stay here. Big toe balls inner heel. If you feel super wobbly and you want the help of the blocks, just put the hands on the blocks. You can take this back foot, turn the heel out a little more. This also requires some calf flexibility. But you don't want the stance too short and you don't want the stance too long. You'll know that middle space because you'll feel like you have some room in the legs, but they're still working. Okay. Now, if your hands weren't on the blocks and they were on your hips, interlace the fingers, pull them back, keep dragging this front left hip even more forward, right hip even farther back. Give me one more breath here. Front leg is burning, it's stretching, and it's working really hard. Okay. Release the hands back down now. From here, take this left hand block, walk it closer to the right foot. So both blocks are framing the right foot. Now, if you have the flexibility in your calf, can you continue to try to keep the heel down? Roll this hip forward, forward, forward. Like if I'm honest with myself, my heel has to lift off the floor a little bit. Otherwise, I feel like my knee's being impinged. Yeah. So I think about rolling the thigh bone. It's okay if the heel lifts up. And if for you, if this is super impossible, just turn the heel back out, roll the thigh bone in. We're trying to get into that right outer hip again. Squeeze the inner thighs together, turn the chest open, hug the right sits bone into the left inner thigh. Seal it there. Hug the left hip bone into the right inner thigh. Hands on the pelvis or on your sacrum. Turn the chest open a little more. For those of you, if you feel good, take your top arm up. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay? Now, if this feels really good to you and you want to go even deeper, as long as you feel balanced, you might want to take this left hand and put it on the right hand block. Find yourself first. Squeeze the inner thighs. Don't do too fast. And then maybe take your top arm again. And if that feels crazy to you, don't worry about it. Don't do it. Your goal is to get sharpness in the legs, stability, lots of opening along the right outer leg. Okay? Come back to center when you're ready. Okay? If that was super tiring, you're going to go back into down dog or child's pose, anything that gives you a break, maybe even a forward fold. If you feel good, I'm going to shift forward. I'm going to come up into warrior three. And this warrior three is going to add just a little bit more bonus. You can stay in warrior three again and just drag the right butt back, pull the kneecap up, lengthen that left leg back and call it a day. Stay for 3 breaths. If you want to go even deeper, take this left thigh bone, roll it in. Literally the pose we just did, but we're balancing on one leg. Turn the chest open. Maybe that top arm comes up, maybe not. This is revolving Ardha Chandrasana, revolving half moon. Hug this right sits bone into the left inner thigh. Reach that left leg long. Stay for one more deep breath. Breathe into that right groin. Stay on the right inner leg. Good. And then gently release. Bring it back down. Take a forward fold. Shake it out a little bit if you need to. Okay. If you're pretty nutty and you want to do a flow and meet me back here, go for it. Take your time. For me, I'm just like, ugh, I'm too old for this. I'm just going to hang out here, let all the work I just did sink a little more into that standing leg. Okay? Whenever you're ready, press your hands into the blocks, press the heels down, come all the way back up to standing. Reach the arms up, let it go. And same exact thing, other leg. Okay? So you're either going to cross figure 4, use the wall if you need the balance. Okay? Press that inner heel away from you and sit down into a figure 4 stretch squat. So it's like I'm stretching my outer butt, but I'm also doing chair pose. So you either doing this one or you bring the knee across, double cross at the ankle if you can. Okay. And if the right leg is on top of the left, the right elbow goes underneath the left. Sit lower if you can for ego pose. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Lift the chest. For some reason, if I'm finding it really difficult to double cross, I'm not going to. Keep squeezing the knees together. Keep the palms together. Lift the elbows a little bit. Lift the chest. Sink a little lower if you can. And slow, slow, slow. Coming out of that, okay? Gently shake it off if it's a little too tiring. And take that right leg, step it all the way back. I would say not as long as a lunge, kind of like a warrior one, maybe even tiny bit shorter than a warrior one. Enough so that the heel can mostly stay down at first and square off the hips. So your back hip Right hip is moving forward, left hip is moving back, okay? Hug the hips to center. Don't lock this front knee. Pull the quadricep up. Hinge from the hip crease. Send your pubis bone back, pubis bone back. Roll that right hip forward. And then if you need the blocks, you put your hands on the blocks, but it's really just my legs. You barely putting weight on the blocks. Squeeze the inner thighs to center. Interlace the fingers the opposite way. Draw the shoulders back. Stretch your chest forward. Keep rolling that right thigh bone forward, left hip back. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths. Again, if this is too challenging or you feel like you're tensing other things to hold the pose, don't do it, okay? Now, from here, revolving triangle pose. So those of you with the more open calves, you're going to try to keep the heel down. Those of you who are like me, who have some flexibility, but the heel needs to lift in order for inward rotation to happen, lift the heel. And then for those of you who are like, no, I'm not even going to go there, just spread your toes, all 10 toes facing forward. I'm going to go with those of you who are like, I'm just going to lift the heel up, okay? Take your time, pull that left hip back, hug your inner thighs together, roll that right thigh bone inward toward the left. Right hip bone hugs the left inner thigh. Left sits bone hugs the right inner thigh. My blocks are framing my front foot. I just need to go back a little more to sink a little deeper into this pose. Now, as I start to twist from the hips, can I twist from the ribs? Twist from the ribs. Can I take my top arm up? Only if I've twisted fully. If I've twisted halfway and I'm more like this, if my shoulder's aiming this direction, don't try to yank your arm up. That's not good, okay? Just put your hand on the hip. Turn a little more. My left leg is a little iffy these days, so I'm not going to go too deep on this side. I already feel lots of skunk in there. I'm going to stay put. For those of you who want to, you can absolutely put the right hand on the outside block as long as your inner thighs are squeezing together and you have a balance. We're going to stay for 2 more deep breaths. Sharpen those inner legs. Press the right heel back, even if it's not touching the floor. Turn the chest just a smidge more. Very good. As you exhale, unravel. You're almost there, okay? Now, if that took a lot out of you and you don't want to do any more, child's pose, down dog, anything that feels good, okay? If you want to do the last one with me, slide your blocks forward for warrior 3. Find that inner heel, big toe ball. Stand firmly on that front leg. Keep it so sharp. Lift the right leg up. You're not sagging this hip. You're rolling that right thigh bone sharply into the left inner thigh, but you're not just letting the leg drop. You're reaching it back. You're turning your chest. So I'm standing on my left big toe ball, inner heel, hugging the shin bone in, and I'm balancing on my right arm, okay? And then I turn from the ribs a little more, but really squeeze those inner thighs together. Hug that left sits bone into the right inner thigh. And maybe I take the top arm up. And for those of you who are not taking the arm up, hand on your sacrum. Go ahead and take 2 more deep breaths. Reach that leg long. Keep the inward rotation. Keep the inner leg sharp. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Good. And then when you are ready, slowly unravel. Shake it out. Good job, everybody. If you got it in you, we're going to take one last flow. I'm just ready for Sphinx pose. I'm not doing any fancy up dogs, okay? But make it nice and clean. Chaturanga down. I'm trying to remember which arm I put in front. Of course I don't, but it's not a huge deal, okay? This is my latest and greatest Sphinx pose that I've been loving, and it's been really helpful to open up the tightness in my abdominals and mid-back. Good. Okay. From here, no tricks. You're just going to lie down on your bellies. You can put your forehead down on your forearms and just take a few deep breaths. Or you can bring your arms alongside you. Let your chin or your forehead be on the floor. Don't turn your head to the sides just yet. You'll have time for that. But I want you to just take a few breaths and widen. Widen across the sacrum, widen across the lower back, okay? So you're here. Make sure that you are not shortening or crunching anything in the lumbar. Send breath there. Send breath into your kidney area. Good. Try not to fall asleep. We're almost there though. Okay, I'm gonna give it a little bit more. Now, you're gonna roll your thigh bones in, tuck the butt, reach the legs back, back, back. Okay, on your first set, press into the tops of the feet. Keep tucking the butt. See if you can just lift your chest up, not your feet. Keep moving the butt out of your lower back. Use the strength of your mid-upper back. Pull your chest up off the floor. Now, if that feels impossible, use your hands as you would for Cobra. Just put your fingertips into the floor and use that to help you, okay? And don't push it in to try to lift higher. Just stay exactly as you are. If you don't need the help of the hands, just use the glutes, the hamstrings, and the mid-back muscles to slowly pull you up. Exhale, release, turn your heads over to the right. I'm not going to turn all the way because my ear pod's going to fall out. Just hang out for another breath or two. Breathe and widen across the low back. Breathe and widen across the upper back. Good. We're working on lower trapezius muscles. Of course, legs all the time. But the lower traps are what's really weaken us and overstretched for all that sitting at the desk, okay, all that rounding in the upper back. Now, if on the last set you needed to put the fingertips down, that's exactly what you're going to do on this set. You're not going to get any fancier, okay? But if you were able to tuck and really, really tuck the butt, firm the legs, press the tops of the feet down, and use the mid back to come up, if that's okay for you, I want you to just do a few of these, okay? You're going to reach the arms forward, then you're going to pull the elbows back toward the sides of your body. Think about shoulder blades squeezing together and down. Not narrowing, just hugging in. Reaching the arms forward, keep the tuck. Elbows in, back of the neck long. Do one more time. Reach the arms forward, keep the tuck, and pull them back in, and then slowly release. Not easy. You're going to feel muscles like right along here, okay? And if that's what you feel, great. If you feel lower back only, my suggestion is just to continue to work on lifting the chest using the lower trapezius to pull you up. You don't rush. Turn your head over to the left now. Let the upper body relax. Good, good, good. Now, you can do a couple more sets of this. I would like to go into the lower back for time's sake, okay? Reaching the arms back. It's not bad to work the low back muscles as long as your glutes are engaged, your hamstrings are engaged. You're going to roll the thigh bones in. This time, keep the butt tucked, float the legs off the floor just a couple of inches. Reach, reach, reach the legs back. So it feels like you're barely lifting them off the floor when you tuck. Keep that lower back long. Lift your chest up off the floor. You can keep your arms alongside you or reach them up, kind of like an airplane. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Keep tucking. So this is the Shalabhasana series locust pose to work the back line of our body, which is also our core, okay? Take another inhale and exhale, release. So you can choose to turn your head to the right if you like, to the left, or keep in the middle. Good, we got 2 more rounds of this. Again, breathe into the lower back, tuck the butt, reach the legs back, lift the chest up off the floor. Keep tucking, okay? Second set, if the first set felt okay, interlace the fingers behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other, pull them down, keep tucking, reach the legs a little longer, draw the chest just a little bit more off the floor. So this is kind of low back, lots of legs, maybe a little bit of mid-upper back as well. Take one more, big inhale. Keep the back of the neck long. And then exhale, slowly release. Take a couple of deep breaths into the lower back one more time. Okay, last set. You can choose to either do exactly what we did. Okay, interlace the fingers, pull them back, lift legs and chest. You can just choose to keep the arms alongside you. Or you can do this with the arms in front, okay? Do a little more of rolling the thigh bones in. Tuck the butt, pull your arms a little closer to help you. Lift the legs up off the floor. Push into the hands, maybe lift the elbows up, and then lift the chest up. Now, if your lower back is tenuous, if you're not sure, I wouldn't go any farther than that because your legs are doing a ton of work. Your back is already working. You're going to keep tucking. Only when you feel like your back is really strong and there's no problems in the lumbar, okay? Not for the sake of doing it, only if it serves you. Then maybe you take your arms up off the floor. And if it's like, oh, as soon as you do that in your back, take your hands down, okay? Take 2 more full breaths. The tuck is much more important. You can use your fingertips to lift the chest a little higher to get more into that lower traps, mid-upper back area. Just don't compress the low back. Alrighty, come all the way down. Put your hands alongside you. Slowly push yourselves back up, either a puppy dog or a child's pose. Push the sits bones back towards your heels. If you're doing a wide knee child's pose, now you need to relax these lower back muscles. Push the sits bones back. That's what's going to help get out of your lower back. Sits bones are key. The more you push your sits bones back, the more you're going to be able to feel yourself melting into that stretch. Breathe across the shoulder blades. Breathe across all those areas that you just worked. Good. Go ahead and take one more breath. And slowly bring yourselves back up. Okay. Let's do a set of abdominal work. Okay. I'm just going to flip over onto my back and I'm going to do this. You can do it both ways. You can do this with the fingertips facing forward, or you can do it onto your forearms. If you're on your forearms, watch for your neck. If the neck feels strained at all, I'd either just lie on my back completely and hold my head a little bit, or I would come up higher. Whichever feels right to you, you're trying to engage the abdominals without straining the neck, okay? Let's start with the forearms. And you can keep them like this or the palms down. Push your lower belly so your lower back is not flattened against the floor, but your sacrum is on the floor. Hold your lower belly in. Pull the right knee in towards your chest. Extend the left leg out. So there's no excuse for tight hamstrings here. This is why we're doing it this way instead of the leg up. I'll give you that option too, okay? Now, can you use your lower abdominals and then switch? Use the lower abs to extend the right leg to pull the left knee in. Use the abdominals obliques to pull the knee into your chest. And then you switch again. How high you take this leg, how low to the ground, tells you how much your abs are working, what part of your abs, okay? So if we're gonna go, let's smooth it out. So it's almost like we're bicycling. Press one leg out, pull the knee into the chest, tuck your chin towards your chest, okay? Let's do a few more of these. Pull the knee in, extend the opposite leg, pull the knee in, extend the opposite leg, but do it smoothly, like you're riding a bicycle. Good, let's do 2 more each side. 1 more. Okay, now instead of stopping, reverse. So I'm pulling the knee in, okay? I'm bicycling again, but I'm reversing it. Can I keep holding my abdominals in? Holding my abdominals in. And those of you, if you feel pretty good, you're just gonna end up kicking. So less of like a bicycling motion. I find that if your hip flexors tend to get a little tired and overworked, the extension of the legs might be a little challenging. And the pulling in of the knee actually makes me feel like I'm working my abs a little bit more. Totally up to you, okay? Now, wherever it is you are, pull both knees into your chest, push your belly button in, tuck the chin to the chest. If your neck is sore, come down this way, okay? I'm just gonna show you the rest this way. Pull the knees in, push the belly in, extend the legs out. Hold the lower abs in, hold them in. Pull the knees in again, as tightly into your chest as you can. As you exhale, push the belly button down. Raise the legs a little higher if you're trying to hit upper abs, Lower them as long as your lower back stays on the floor. Lower them a little more if you're trying to hit the lower abs, okay? Last one. Pull the knees in. If you're doing it this way still, pull the knees in, extend the legs, maybe lower them a little bit more, and then take your time and let them release all the way to the floor if you can. And let the legs come out. Relax a little bit. Everybody lie down onto your backs now. Give the back of the neck a nice deep pull. Relax your jaws, relax your throats, okay? Maybe pull your knees into your chest. Give yourselves a squeeze. Okay. And then from here, okay, you're going to slowly roll over to one side and gently prop yourselves back up. We're going to finish with a twist. Really, really simple seated twist. I'm going to grab a blanket to sit on. And in this twist, and I'll try to mirror you again, okay? I'm going to take my right knee, bring it across, take my left leg, put it over the right thigh. And if you're tighter in the hips, don't try to push the heel down, but try to drop the hip of the leg that's on top. So if I'm trying to cross my left leg over the right, I'm trying to really drop that left foot down. Gently use your left hand to press into the blanket to lift the chest. Reach that right arm up. Turn the chest toward the knee. Hold the knee into the chest. Lift the chest. Keep twisting the chest toward the knee. Hold the knee into the chest. And you're trying to twist toward the left, okay? Toward the leg that you have up. Take a couple of breaths here. The more you drop that left foot, the more you're going to feel stretch along that left outer hip again. And then from the base of the neck, slowly, slowly, slowly turn the neck to turn the head. Turn the neck to turn the head to get a little bit more into the mid upper back, the area between the shoulder blades. And take another breath there. And gently come back to center, unravel, okay? Take the top leg, switch it over. So my left leg is going across, my right leg is going on top of the left. Both my sits bones are dropped, okay? And then from here, I'm gonna take my right hand, push it behind me to keep the chest lifted, drop that right hip so I'm not dumping into the bottom leg. Inhale, reach the arm up. Exhale, hold the knee, pull the knee into the chest, lift the chest. I take my ribs and I twist my ribs to the right as I pull the knee toward the chest. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, twist from the ribs, not the head. Line the chin up with the sternum so you're not over twisting, okay? And you're not overly doing it from the neck. Inhale, lift the chest. Drop that right butt a little more, and then exhale, twist a little bit deeper. And then add that last part with the neck. From the base of the neck, turn the neck to slowly turn the head, turn the neck to turn the head. Slow, 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 until you feel a good stretch all across those shoulder blades. Keep breathing. Breathe into that right butt. Good. And then gently bring the head back to center. Bring the torso back to center. Unravel one more time. Okay. Use the blanket underneath your head. We've just done a pretty serious hour-and-a-half practice. You've worked your body very deeply. Give yourself some time to kind of cool down. So one thing I like to do, because I'm pretty tight, I like Supta Baddha Konasana, which means supine bound ankle pose. I grab the feet and I hold the outer edges of the feet together like I'm in butterfly. And some days I'm more open than others. I interlace my fingers and I grab my feet. I push my sits bones away from me and I let my knees wing out. Like the same thing you do in Warrior Two, moving the inner quads into the inner knees, you do that here. And you push, push, push the sits bones away. Now, if you're tighter, you're gonna feel like your head's falling back, your neck is arching off the floor, and your tailbone's kind of curled off the floor, which is kind of what I feel right now. Kind of embarrassing of how many years I've been practicing, right? But don't fret, okay? We are human and we have to respect our bodies. So if you feel like your head's falling back, give it a little more support. I come up on a higher block. So, like I said, some days when I'm more open, I don't feel it as much. I feel my back is straighter, then I don't need the block. So I grab my feet again. So much easier. I push my, it's still challenging for my groins, but it's so much easier to get my sits bones to push, to get my sacrum to unfurl, which is really what you're trying to do, okay? Again, I'm widening my knees, pushing the sits bones away from me, lengthening my lower back. And the more your sits bones push away, the more gunk you're trying to release or you're able to release in your bodies. Good. Slowly let it go. Bring your feet back onto the floor, okay? At this point, if this block is feeling too high, you switch it out. You know me, I like lots of props to play with. And you're gonna get ready for your Shavasana. Give the back of the neck a pull. Gently place the head on the blanket. Wiggle around to make sure you're comfortable. You can swing your knees to one side, swing your knees to the other. If it calls to you, you can do a supine twist. You can just ignore me. My suggestion with a supine twist is to not just drop your legs to one side. I'd shift my hips to the left, pull my knees up, take it to the right, and then recommit and take a supine twist, okay? So if you're doing this with me, go for it. If you are ready for Shavasana, just set yourself up to Shavasana. Doesn't matter which direction you're going, just make sure that you're shifting your hips really deeply to the opposite side of where you're taking your knees. And you're thinking about releasing that top shoulder, top pectoral, and getting a nice stretch into that top hip through the spine, but mostly also around the upper back. Good. Second side. Come back to center. So because I move to the right first with my knees, I'm going to pick my hips up, take it to the right, and then pick my knees up and take them to the left. Okay. And if I feel slightly off center, I'll move my hips back some more. Use the hand to hold the knee down. Push the hip away from you. Turn the chest open. Breathe, breathe, breathe. If your right shoulder doesn't come to the floor, mine doesn't, don't worry. That's all part and parcel of what an outer twist is doing, okay? Push the sits bone away from you to open up the side of the back. Make as little effort as you need to be good in the pose, to be comfortable, to enjoy it. Widen the collarbones. You can choose to turn from the base of the neck to turn the head again. All these little things I normally add on. Take as much as you like or none at all. Good. Gently make your way back. So right now, your heartbeat should be slowed. You should feel pretty mellow, ready for Shavasana. You can give yourselves one last hug. Do any fidgeting that feels good to you. And then stretch the legs out. Turn the palms up. Cover yourselves if you're cold. Put an eye pillow over your eyes. Take a breath. And then sag everything into the floor. Take a breath. And then exhale. Let it go. Do as many of those as what feels good to you. And then you let the breath start to flow a little more evenly, a bit less controlled. Allow your back ribs to sink into the floor. Allow your pelvis to get heavy. The backs of the legs, the calves, the heels, the backs of the hands, the arms. All the stuff that's contacting the floor. Can you soften, spread, and imagine it oozing onto the floor? Let all the muscles of your faces relax. Let the tongue release. Let the forehead widen and spread. Again, I will not tell you when to come out because this is a 1.5 hour practice. You should stay in Shavasana for at least a good 6 to 7 minutes, if not longer. Try to stay as long as you can. Only come out when your body feels like it's absolutely ready to.